Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you're watching Save Today with Heather J. I'm somebody who has spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck and being one life event away from financial crisis. In order to change that, I have created a budget and a budgeting channel to invite anybody along who wants to join me on that journey. Today's video is going to be my July monthly closeout. I'm behind schedule and I'm trying very hard to get quickly caught up. So I'm going to try and get through this video as quickly as I can, or through the budgeting portion of this video as quickly as I can. I do intend today to try and take a little bit more time at the end of my video with my craft, because I did have to cut that off my last 3 videos. I filmed all 3 of those videos in one day, in one quick session, back to back to back to back, in an effort to try and get caught up. And in doing so, I neglected to cover up the name that was on that stocking. And I have learned in my 3 months on YouTube that privacy and boundaries are very important. And I did not want to just let that slide. It was important to me to keep that covered up. But that meant I didn't get to go over some of the things that have happened and changed in that. And so I will be discussing that more at the end of today's video. So today we're going over my July paycheck, or my July monthly closeout. When I set up my monthly estimates, I start with my wages, my estimated hours, and my taxes. I take out my taxes. So I make $20.85 an hour. I estimate 38 hours. For my job, 32 to 40 is considered full-time. And I'm very lucky with the state of the economy right now that I am getting closer to the 38 and 40 hours in my paychecks. There have been times where I have been closer to the 32, 33 hour mark of that. And that makes things very difficult. And it would make my current budgeting very, very challenging. So thankfully I'm not. So $20.85 times 38 times 4 weeks, take away 25% for taxes, and my estimate, I'm left with $2,376.90. My actual was $2,654.83, which was over what I estimated by $277.93. I do include an other line in my budget. I don't ever expect to have anything show up in my other. I don't have a second job. I do not receive child support. I do not have investments or annuities. Honestly, I don't know what investments or annuities are. I have never ever been in that life. And so I don't know how those payments would work out anyway. I don't have them. They're not there. But this month I did have something that showed up in my other line. I had taxes. Now, I have mentioned that I did not file my taxes last year or the year before. And I have mentioned that I tend to move a lot. So I had last year's taxes and the year before 2 federal tax returns. Last year I had 2 state returns. And the year before that, I had 3 state returns. So I had a total of 5 state returns and 2 federal tax returns that I received in the month of June. And I ultimately had to borrow $1,000 from a family member in order to get my U-Haul sent to me. I had a very long conversation in my Debts and Desires video about how that came to be and why I chose to actually borrow the money instead of waiting even longer to get my U-Haul stuff. But that means in the month of July, in my other category, I did receive $2,624 extra, which was $2,624 extra. So with my wages and my other, my total over was $2,901.93. So with that money, I then have to pay my fixed expenses and my flexible expenses. So my fixed expenses are my bills, the things I'm required to pay, whether I like it or not. Somebody else sets the rates and the fees, and I have to pay it. There isn't a whole lot of choice in the matter. The very first one that shows up is, of course, my rent. My rent is $853. That is what I estimated. That is what I paid. My rent is actually $850. I have my rent set up on an auto draft, so that's a $3 service fee for the $853. Then my utilities, which I had estimated to be $306.12. And that basically was taking the bill I had in hand and doubling it, because what I have been doing is receiving the bill and then fitting it into the next budget. By the time I get around to paying it on the next budget, I will receive the following month's bill. So I was attempting to pay what I owed and then plan ahead. That's kind of what's estimating the budget is to plan ahead. But ultimately, I ended up not paying that. I let you guys know when I set this up that there would be a possibility of needing to funnel some extra money over to the U-Haul, and that is what ended up having to happen. So that did not get paid, which left me $306.12 in my budget. It's in the green, but this isn't necessarily a positive thing for me. Then my phone bill for the month of July, I had estimated $473.02. Now, my monthly phone bill is not $473. However, it is $236.51. This, I did not pay my phone bill in June. I put that in an arrangement to be picked up in July. And so this was June's arrangement and July's bill. What I paid was the arrangement for June, and I did not pay July's bill. July's bill is now in a payment arrangement to be paid in August. So I saved myself $236.51. My credit card, I did have a credit card payment for $50. This is the first payment of my last credit card in arrangements. This one I thought had been paid off. I made a mistake. It is not paid off, so I'm back in arrangements with that one. Going forward, that will be $200 a month. I have a subscription for $10.82. That's exactly what got paid. No difference there. My U-Haul, I had estimated $97.99. Now, when I set this budget up, I was not certain whether or not I was going to be able to get my stuff sent to me in U-Haul. I had 3 boxes in storage, U-Haul's versions of pods. I had one that was due on the 17th and 2 that were due as storage payments on the 28th. It was my hope that I was going to get my stuff shipped to me before the one was due on the 17th, and that did not happen. I think I got it done on the 19th or the 21st, very shortly after that. And then I had to pay shipping to get it from one side of the country to the other. And I had to pay a delivery fee to get it from the main hub in the state to my house. And then I had to pay movers to get it out of those boxes up the stairs into my apartment. And so that cost me $3,958.85, which was $3,860.86 more than I had estimated it would cost me. So that means my estimate was $1,790.95. My actual was $5109.18, which was $3318.23 over budget. The next thing I go over is my flexible spending, and in my flexible spending, I am tracking groceries, dining out, transportation, art, and miscellaneous. Those are the areas where I have a wee bit more control over. I can choose where I go grocery shopping. I can choose when I go grocery shopping, and I don't have to pay anything until I'm standing there in line with my cart full of stuff. I gave myself an estimate of $110 a week. I have learned over this was the 3rd month now, that that's not enough. I knew that before I set this budget up, but I didn't have any other place to have that. I didn't have more money to give to it. I knew that this month was going to be the tightest month I had dealt with yet. And so I had to leave that estimate as low as it was. So I estimated $440 for the month. I spent $472.16, which was over budget by $32.16. In my dining out category, I gave myself a budget of $0. I knew that when I put $0 there, that was not realistic. There was no way I was going to make it an entire month with not spending anything. But I didn't have the money to put an estimate in there. And by not having an estimate in there, I knew I was going to have to tell myself no a lot. And I was going to have a real legitimate reason why I wasn't coming home to cook on those days. So over the course of the 4 weeks, I did spend $98.61. Most of that really was that last week, which was the week that my family member had surgery in. I don't feel bad about any of those purchases. There are times where I go out to eat and I'm like, oh gee, after the fact, that probably wasn't a good idea. And sometimes as I'm ordering, I probably shouldn't be doing this. It was not the case this month. I really don't feel bad about any of these purchases. They were necessary for various different reasons. My transportation, I estimated $160, which is $40 a week. And when I set up that estimate, I assume I'm going to fill up the car with 1 tank of gas a week at $3.79 a gallon, and my tank holds roughly 10 gallons. And then I do on some days take the bus to work and then get picked up from work after work. So that's all included in there. Ultimately, I spent $93.17 this month, which was $66.83 under budget. And then in art, I did not give myself anything in the budget in art. I did go make one purchase for $4.64. And I justified that. I mean, first of all, it's only $4.64. Why do you need to justify it at all? But there was zero. I went and purchased 2 things. One was a white ruffled binding that I used to make the zero dog on my stocking, and the other was a green flannel fabric that I used for the back of my stockings. When I make my stockings, I say that like I make a lot. This is the second one, and I have stuff for a third and fourth one, but I put flannel as the backing, and I try and get a flannel that matches well with that. So I went and I purchased those 2 things because my project for this month wasn't going to move forward without them. And I used both things a coupon. So one of them had a 40% off coupon and the other had a 50% off coupon. In both instances, I bought the absolute minimum that I would need. I did not buy anything extra. I got just a third of a yard of the one and I believe a half a yard of the other. In my miscellaneous, I gave myself $0 in my estimate. I did end up spending $60.01 in my estimate, not in my estimate, in my actual, which puts me $60.01 over budget. Most of this, I would say probably $45 to $50 of this, is purchasing things in relation to the surgery that happened at the last week of the month. So there was nothing I could do about that. There's no reason to justify it. There's no reason to feel bad about it. It's red because there was no money to estimate it, but it's not red because I screwed up. So my, pardon me, been talking too much, I apologize. My total estimate for my flexible spending was $600. My actual was $728.59, which means I went over budget by $128.59. I knew when I set up this budget that my wages were likely going to be a little bit more, and I just didn't know how much, so I didn't want to fit that into my budget and be wrong. So when we carry down all of those totals from the three different categories, what are we left with? Well, my income was $5278.83. My fixed was $5109.18, and my flexible spending was $728.59, which means I finished out the month $558.94 over budget. I initially, when I set up the budget, thought I was going to be $14.05 over budget. but I was over budget by an additional $544.89. So am I really $600 negative in the hole, even though I borrowed all that money? No, I'm not. I did at the end of June have some carryover, and that carryover helped with some of this. And then there is a difference in the account that's carrying over into August, just a little bit. But we will get into August's budget in a couple more videos. So that is it for closing out July. I am at this point about 2 weeks behind schedule. I do plan to try really hard to get caught up, and I will probably be doing another batch filming session in 2 days. So I have this video that we're finishing now, and then one more to finish out July. I have chosen to always do one kind of like closing out the month, or month in review, or a look back. I need to see the positive at the end of each month. I need to be able to look back and focus on how things went well, because I find budgeting to be very negative, and very discouraging, and it's hard. It's easy to forget the good things. I don't know why that is about human beings, but it's easy to forget all of the good things that happen when we focus so easily on all of the negative. And I need at the end of each month to see how far I've come. I don't want to get 6, 8 months, a year down the road and just be discouraged and belittled because of the voices in my head just focusing on the negative. So I foresee myself always having that at the end of the month. It would be easy this month to just blow past it because I'm so far behind budget. Nope, because I'm so far behind schedule. But this month is more important than ever to have a look back at the positive. This month was so hard, so discouraging, so much negativity I have to look back at the positive this month. Because there was some positive. I mean, goodness sakes. So I'm going to have that video, and I hope I will have that video out for you tomorrow. I don't know for certain if I'm going to actually be able to film it in order to go out tomorrow, or if that's going to have to be one that waits till Monday. I also don't know if anybody's really watching videos on Sunday. Like, I'm not on YouTube enough to know what the better days are to post, if that even matters. I'm going to post when I feel like it, because I feel like it. Until a later date. Rambling, hold on. So now I'm at the point where I'm going to go over the craft and what we missed on the last 3 videos. So a couple of things. I did go purchase that backing fabric. I did go purchase the white fabric for the 0. That was in my July budget. I had to go digging through the fabrics I had here to create a lining to go inside the stocking. If I didn't have a lining, then anytime you stuff stuff in and took things out, it'd be catching on the threads and things that were holding the seams together in my stocking. So I did find this lovely orange. I knew I was looking for either an orange or a yellow, some bright color to be as the lining. And this orange has these like brush strokes that I think kind of mimic a little tiny bit flame, and I really liked that because this is a Jack Skellington Christmas stocking, and flames aren't really traditional Christmas, but it is very much Jack Skellington tradition. And I have the flames on this patch of orange here, and I have my little snakes, and I have this was that white ruffled binding that I created that 0 dog with. So from the last time you guys actually saw this project, it has come a long way. I do have Jack Skellington now stitched to the stocking. I do have his little leg stitched onto this hill the way I wanted it stitched on the hill. I have his arm attached here the way I wanted it to stay. I have this arm attached so that it's not invading these beads and jangles. I have it to where when this is hanging up correctly, he's going to be in a more standing straight up position and not like laid out on his back. He's not sitting there on that elbow like he's laying down having a conversation with somebody. I did get my spider on the spider web. And again, the spider and spider web is very true to Jack Skellington, but it is also very traditional for crazy quilt, which is what this style of sewing is when you have these patches together and you have the embroidery along all of the edges. This is crazy quilting style. And the spider web is very traditional in that. And sometimes it'll be hidden in some very small space, and sometimes it will be very up front and center. And so it was very apropos that that would be on here and very close to the Jack Skellington. It fits very well. I don't know if those beads show up, but the idea with those beads in that spider web was that those would be kind of like when you go out in the morning and there's the morning dew on a spider web, they would kind of mimic that. I got my spider on. I couldn't get him sewn on until I had the backing sewn on. And then I had to be very careful about how I was doing that. So that's on. The Zero the dog is on and fits so well in here. Jack Skellington is there. I did show you at some point in the past about 4 different options I had for his head. And I ultimately went with the one that was the necklace because that one was the easiest to attach. And that's attached by that little dangle there that would be hanging it from the necklace. But I do like this head size and style better. I just don't have any way of attaching that to this project. I did at one point try to glue that on and it didn't work. It didn't stay. It came off fairly quickly. So I don't know yet how to attach that. I may never know how to attach that. If I ever figure it out, I may try and change that, but for right now, it is fine just the way it is. I did get my lining sewn together and stitched in there. It's just not attached here at the front. It is attached, well, it's not here at the outside ruff. It isn't attached front or back. I have to hand stitch that down, and I do have to hand stitch about this much to close this edge here. And when I'm hand stitching this portion down here, I almost did that. I have some bells that I will be putting on here, about 5 different bells that will fit just in that little space right there, right underneath that ruff. I can't get them to stay, obviously, without the threads. But that is it. I don't honestly know if this part will be done by the time, you know, because I basically have tonight if I film my video tomorrow, or I have tonight and tomorrow if I don't get the video filmed until the day after. And then July's done. And then I will work on this project in my own time, and it won't come back to this channel after my one last video. I don't know yet what to call that video. You know, I have my debt confession, my monthly debt confession as my debts and desires, but I don't know what to like give that title, my positivity video, my positive recap. I don't know. Anyway, monthly recap, month in review. Anyway, that's the last time this will come out, and then I have to figure out what my August project is going to be, and whatever it ends up being, it's going to have to be very small because at this point I've got only 2 or 3 weeks worth of August filming, even though I have a month's worth of videos. But that is where I'm at. Let me take a quick look and see, is there anything else I wanted to discuss on this? No, I think I'm pretty good. I wanted you guys to be able to see that. Yeah, we're done. I will see you guys perhaps tomorrow, and if not, I will see you maybe in 2 days. I will talk to you later, wherever you are, whatever it is you're doing. Have fun. Bye-bye now.